Welcome to Big Blend Radio with your hosts, Lisa and Nancy, editors of BigBlendMagazine.com.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Big Blend Radio's Toast to the Arts and Park show. This is a show we do every first Friday, and we love it when we get to have some time with Tanya Ortega. She is the founder of the National Parks Arts Foundation, and she's an amazing photographer too, and she's just awesome, period. And she is back on the show, but I encourage you to go to their website, nationalparksartsfoundation.org. Today's show is about music. We're going to be talking about artist residencies in parks across America that she puts together with all of her board and everybody that is involved with the National Parks Arts Foundation. It's an incredible program. And today we have all these other musician interviews on the show, so keep up with us at bigblendradio.com. But first, welcome back, Miss Tanya. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey,
Hello,
it is cool. Hey, aloha, I should say. And first off, we do want to say a big, shout out of support and help to all in Maui. And not just, everyone in the fires, and it's a devastating time for the island, but also, I know it's just rough for the whole state really feels this, right? When things like this happen.
Absolutely. The governor has put out some statements too. And, the interesting thing is that, when people hear something like that has happened in Hawaii, a tragedy like that, it's hard to know exactly how many islands there are in Hawaii. There's a lot. I don't even know. I don't even remember the tiny ones all of the time. But one thing that a lot of people have done is cancel their trips to Hawaii, to the state of Hawaii and even Maui with respect. It's very respectful that they've done that. But Lahaina is a hub of cultural importance. And, I can't, Lahaina was actually the first place I ever came to in Hawaii. It's so important. The rest of the state, all of the islands are open. And, the governor made a statement. Mayors are making statements because people are canceling coming to Hawaii out of respect. And in fact, Hawaii's economy and a lot of locals depend on people coming to Hawaii. And so a lot of people think that this happened in Hawaii as a state. We're a lot of little islands. And I guess to put it simply, don't cancel your trip. Support Lahaina and support the people of Hawaii.
Nice.
So
yeah.
And that's, and Google what the governor has to say on that. And, of course, there's people also with respect to the culture who, want people to be very respectful of the land, of their ancestors, and also learn about that. Because that's very, very important. When you come. So getting the perspective of all angles. Right now, it's just a geography issue. So, in fact, I'm on the big island of Hawaii right now, where Hawai'i Volcanoes National Park is. And we have, in Maui, where Lahaina is Haleakala National Park. And we have a program there, a great program that's going to be coming out soon for the, National Park Artists in Residence program there. So anyway, please, everybody, just look at what people are saying who are in Hawaii and support Lahaina.
Exactly. Yeah, I think as much as you can. I know that, we waited on some content radio wise, and because it was at the beginning of when the fire was actually still, going and things were happening. It was at the very start, and everybody was like, just out of respect, just don't do anything until after the 1st of September. And now September 1st is here. So, it's time we can talk about it and, also be part of the recovery. And, there are websites that you can, use and go to support. And also, I think it's Maui Strong. Oh, we put it out in our newsletter. We put it out in our magazine last week, and wanted people to know that this is a site that shows all the different organizations that are okay to help and support, but you are able to volunteer. If you cannot donate, you can share their words, but you can volunteer, and you can also donate services too. So I know a lot of people, if people needed homes, some people donated Airbnb time to people from Lahaina. So there are so many unique ways that we can help. So if you want to help, there's always a way, I believe. So but yeah, that website, I'm trying to find it now that I had, because, oh, here it is. Maui is strong.info. Maui is what? I'm going to double check myself here. Yeah, it's Maui, NU is strong. So NUI, you'll understand that more than me. Maui, NUI, strong.
Maui Nui Strong. .com. I haven't heard of that one.
.info. It's a relief effort, and it shows where you can donate, support, it's like everyone together. Nui, yeah? Nui. What does Nui mean? It's a whole new word for me.
Yeah.
I'm always having to learn something.
Again, I think the governor, but I know that mayors and different groups have put out, this tragedy, it really makes me mad. A lot of scam websites went up immediately
Exactly.
next morning. And when you're trying to figure out where to donate, please just be real particular about
this website is the actual government. This is a safe one. Yeah, because we had to look. We looked, and musician Makana, who's been on our show quite a few times, and he put out a whole list of, this is how you find your family. This is who do not trust these ones. But this is a County of Maui economic development program that connects the residents, businesses, and visitors to useful information about Maui County, our diverse islands, and a variety of resources that help to promote thriving and vibrant communities. So it's pretty cool. It's a little bit of everything. And they did this, I think this all started during COVID as well, where they put everyone together. And so they have a list of who is unaccounted, all of that. So this is the actual county that put this out. This is safe. So that's a very important thing, and an important comment to talk about the scams. And Nancy and I have been through several wildfires. We lived through, a year and a half of nonstop evacuations, real ones. And, at one point we had to go from Southern California to Tombstone, Arizona on Halloween anyway to evacuate. It was that bad, but
I shouldn't laugh. That's terrible.
No, it was funny because we had a bartender at Big Nose Kate's Saloon, an older gentleman dressed in drag like Frankenfurter from the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And then we heard our house and neighborhood had burned down, and the bar got us a place to live right next to Boot Hill Cemetery. And then we found out our house and our neighborhood were fine. Just the national news doesn't understand that that's one street, not a whole neighborhood. And I'm not just, it was a devastating time for our town. And, but then we were like, we're going to live next to Boot Hill. This is cool.
Yeah.
But anyway,
what a respite.
I know. But we were all glad to not have that, hang over us anymore. So, but really it's something we did end up actually moving because it's such a small community, Mountain Down, and, people needed to have housing for, their kids and, because they're going to school there. So we moved and we ended up in 29 Palms outside Joshua Tree National Park. So, change is change, and we can live anywhere, as since we're on the road full time. But I wanted to talk specifically also about music today. I know you have all these amazing programs, like you have Dry Tortugas National Park, where there's, artists in residence that spend a month at Loggerhead Key. But I wanted to talk because we always say how you are so open to all these different artists, whether it's a painter, a musician, a filmmaker, a photographer. We've even interviewed textile artists show. But you do have like Hawai'i Volcanoes, I think attracts a lot of musicians because you do have that recording studio. But yeah, you do have a lot of musicians. And today is all about New Music Friday. So tell us a little bit about, some of the good park, residencies that musicians and songwriters and composers should know about.
Oh, we have had a lot of musicians, and it's interesting of all the different art media, and by art media, I mean kind of the physical media that people use, whether it's painting, music, poetry, whatever their art media is. So that's what art media means. A lot of people don't know that it's not a genre. It's the type of, anyway. We do have a lot of musicians, and musicians have been getting chosen a lot, which is just super cool. So at some of our residencies, and especially Hawai'i Volcanoes National Park, we have a recording studio booth. And I hesitate to say studio because we don't have all of the, the processors and different things that people use. Obviously, I'm not a musician. But what we do have is we can rent things, and we have a company that we work with, and the artists can choose whatever company they have, but there's only one on the island to rent musical instruments and different things. And if we don't have something, we can't get a hold of it. We've been really lucky because we're on an island. So there's not that many places. So we have to come up with the different, there's a baby grand piano there too. So we've got a recording booth, a baby grand piano, an artist studio that the musicians use as a bigger studio. So, like when Delbert Anderson comes, we're going to have the drum set in there and different instruments. We have, oh my gosh, so many amplifiers and different things that they use. But yes, it's musicians keep getting picked, and it's really cool because not only that, there's so many different venues to play around. And in fact, a guy, this isn't public yet, but it will be soon, but doesn't matter. Delbert Anderson Quartet is coming, and we're excited about it.
Yeah, he's going to be there October. So this is the cool thing. So when you're there at a residency, people apply, and then they go and fulfill what they applied, and then what their point of, what they're going to do when they're there. What is their goals? And we all know it changes once artists or musicians get into a park. Writers can apply too. We should talk about that too, because
oh yeah,
there's so many writers, and I'm like, dudes, this is such a cool opportunity. And you've had some, like Zoe was on, but the thing with there's an event that is tied to this too. And I think, that's another thing. You can go out, you can create. We've had musicians that go and record, ecology sounds, sounds of the wilderness. Like Andy Jarima gets his recorder out underwater, recorded the sound of a hermit crab going, fighting in the water. Like that's crazy cool. And then he turns it into this musical piece, So there's that, like Glenn McClure does that same kind of recording. And then you've got
Sam Nestor. Remember when Sam Nestor came? And
Sam Nestor's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. And then Ben Koskov, Ben's got a new album out, I believe just came out. And, part of his inspiration, like some musicians will write an album just on, their experience there, the people, the sounds. And then some, it starts going into all kinds of other avenues, just like it does for, painters, So, remember Hunter Noack's?
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell people about that? Because we weren't there, but as far as I heard, like he was playing piano and people could put headsets on and stroll around like a park area while he was playing and hear his music.
Exactly. So that's a good example. Hunter Noack was at Haleakala National Park on Maui. So that's the opportunity that's going to be open very soon for artists and musicians to apply to. So the interesting thing about Hunter Noack is we had we were, this is so crazy. I love it. We looked into having a piano helicoptered in to the summit of Haleakala National
No
Park.
way.
Yeah, for real. And it was so tenuous. There was only one helicopter professional on I think maybe even in the whole state, I can't remember, who is allowed to do that because the elevation of Haleakala is so high that there's different things when you're flying helicopters and flying, anything that's heavy and dangling for the helicopter, and you have to have very special skills to be able to do that. So there was one guy and he, he's the only guy that is, or person, I should say, that, is able to do that at that park. They've already, I guess they used him before for years or something like that, but it wasn't possible to do that because I think it was the season and it had something to do with air pressure or something really, really specific. So we would have had to reschedule the entire residency and because he played at different cultural centers in Maui, even a school in Maui. Oh, it was so beautiful. He inspired students at school. He just inspired them. So Hunter Nowak, we were able to transport a piano up there. So it was good and it all worked out, but the lengths that we went to try to and I picture it. I like to picture this helicopter with a grand piano just like flying above the islands. Now, and Maui is the island where Lahaina is, just to kind of harken back to that. They're different parts of the island. But that whole island is so beautiful and the people are so nice so his work, I think it's called Landscapes of the Wilderness or something like that. So he did some really great pieces and some really great work with the community and at the park. So that's Haleakala National Park in Maui. And we're going to be having that opportunity open soon. And we're really hoping to get some good artists up there. And the cool thing about that too, is we're working now on if we are able to, sponsor more than one artist, we'll be picking more than one.
That's awesome. And the thing too, I wanted to touch on is like, you're talking about Delbert Anderson, but he's also got, a quartet. So, I remember also you had, I was going to say, remember, Bonnie Prince Billy, Will Oldham, and his wife went with him, and she's a textile artist. So, it seems that you can open the door to having, I'm sorry, but you've got, a 4-piece band, only one can go. Does it depend on which residency that's more open? Like I know Hawai'i Volcanoes, if you have a singer-songwriter duo, that's open for them to go, right?
Oh yeah. Definitely. We can have, I think it is up to 8 people, in the house at Hawai'i Volcanoes National Park. But that doesn't mean that that's the number of people that we can have. If more than 8 people apply, and that's rare. It's rare to have a band with that many people. It's not like this. Who am I thinking? Knights in White Satin. That
Moody Blues. Yeah.
Moody Blues or something, or the Specials. Like the Specials would be fine because they had only.
They're
8.
special.
They're special. So if somebody applies, if a group applies, it has, let's just say 12 people, then all we do is we come up with the funding to rent another house.
Oh, wow. Okay. So art house number 2, I think this is such a cool, I don't think you'd have that many people going, at once, like you're saying, but you would have the key songwriters, you know what I mean? That would be there. I think the founders of the band or something like that. But I think it's just such a unique experience. And then to be able to perform, is also like what you're saying with Hunter, Nowak doing it. And you recently had, Laura Ruggles in Hawai'i Volcanoes National Park, and she's known as, I love this, Shark Heart. And she's out of Tucson, Arizona. Got to give a shout out. And, Yeah, she's been busy, and she did such interesting things on her social media. She got into this whole new form of, just kind of recording her music and taking even songs from her, that she's done and connecting where she felt that they connected with the water moving or, just even the breeze on a hike. But I know that she really appreciated being there
Oh,
and doing that.
she was so great. Laura Ruggles, I really liked her and the work that she did. And she did she's doing a lot for the public. And
Hmm.
her music really reflects what it touches people. It
Hmm.
touches people and it's creative and it's amazing. Yeah, we really liked having her. I hope she's able to come again. Like she was amazing. And the thing about she played at the Hawai'i Volcanoes National Park Kahuku unit, which is more that park is so huge. It's a more rural location and they really enjoyed it. It's my understanding that the turnout was fantastic. I need to talk to her actually. I miss her.
Yeah.
But yeah, she got very inspired while she was here. And that's the thing. That's the thing. It's not like I know that I keep on saying these different venues and stuff, but what the artist ends up taking away, or getting really when they come here is inspiration. Like you just get in nature, you know?
Mm. Well, and also the history. I mean, I see that when people go to Hawaii, the artists and musicians really connect with the cultural aspect and learning the cultures and the resiliency of it. So I think and just, this different respect and just respect for the land. And also that, being on an island that, the care and sustainability is such an important thing. And national parks teach us that about preservation and
Yeah.
conservation. And, that's also a thing. I wanted to also just touch on something a little different. You had
Mhm.
Anthony Green, composer Anthony Green in Gettysburg. Back when I thought
Yeah.
we love Anthony, and he's a composer and a brilliant mind, very
Yeah.
soulful, tender person. Yet he also did interpretive dance, and so I wanted to bring that into this because I think we forget about dance being such a huge part of music, and it is I think dance is interpretive. It's like your soul moving that you can watch.
Oh yeah. So speaking of, um, there's a guy named Sean McLeod who has a New York Dance Institute, I think, is what he started. Anyway, Google Sean, SeanMcleod. And his work is so exciting. And we work with him, and he has spent and dedicated his lifetime to, and he does the Harriet Tubman,
Hmm.
which is in the national park system. He does that festival. He's incredible, and he is a dancer. And you can talk to him about, he teaches. And that's part of the major part of his inspiration is teaching and making sure that people do get involved in just, their body as an instrument and they're just, it's a special thing, to be able to do that. And it's really rare. So yes, we have artists who are able to do that. And, we're pretty lucky to work with him too.
That's awesome. One thing too, when we talk about, well, it's just, if you even think about to Native American culture, they always talk about like the woodpecker and the birds and the flutes. We've interviewed so many Native American flute players over the years and learned so much because it's about breathing and breathing with consciousness. It's like Tuvan, if I start on Tuvan throat singing, people are going to throw things at me because I can't get past it. Like I need to learn how to do it. I've tried. I'm just, yeah. Anyway, I'm really into it, and I don't stop talking. There's this movie I watched. No, see, I'll start again. I can't. But Genghis Blues, everybody, it's a documentary of the guy from Steve Miller Band who wrote Big Old Jetliner. And he's a blind musician, and he went to Mongolia and learned how to do Tuvan throat singings and do it. And he entered into the Mongolian Tuvan throat singing contest. It's a big festival every year, and he put it to the blues. He learned how to sing the blues in a Tuvan throat singing style. Anyway, it's a cool documentary. Everyone should watch it. And I watched it way too many times, and I'm into it big time. Anyway, so I want to go do it.
Inspiration.
Go ahead. I was just going to say that connection between nature and just even the voice and movement is such a big deal.
It really is. So, I mean, music can hit on so many different things. So Mick Fleetwood, of Fleetwood Mac.
Wah.
What?
Aww. I was going, wah, he lost his bar.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that he lives on Maui, and I was going to mention the whole thing, but I just saw a video, and he really expressed beautifully some things about the Lahaina fires. So that's another, there's a lot of musicians on that island, and he's an important one. So
I think Lucas Nelson's out there too.
Yeah, I think so. There's a ton.
Yeah.
And on Maui is what I consider the paramount culture and arts center called the Maui Arts and Cultural Center. It's called the MAC here. We just shorten it and say the MAC. Maui Arts and Cultural Center. It is such an incredible place. It is wonderful. And that is where our artist, Stan Honda, who you've interviewed. So he had just last year at the end of last year, so not even a year ago, had a beautiful exhibition there. So he was at Haleakala. He had this big exhibition there. And now, Delbert Anderson, now quartet, formerly trio, is going to be playing there too during the time of his residency at Hawai'i Volcanoes National Park. He's going to go to the MAC.
That's cool. And speaking of Stan Honda, Andy Jarima and him had a conversation on one of our shows. We always do the reunion shows every year. And they ended up doing some work together with his photography and Andy's music. How about that?
So great.
So Big Blend Radio. Look at us hooking up your artists. I think they all follow each other. They all connect in some ways, but it was so cool.
This is kind of funny what we do when people are selected for these, really unique residencies in national parks, national monuments, and World Heritage sites. Like the artists that we work with, and there's hundreds now, like I don't even know how many artists, and I'm such a horrible person, and we want to talk to the artists all the time, and we just can't. Anthony Green, for example, he's awesome. I haven't talked to him in a couple of years. It's just been, but what we do is we connect when somebody's selected, we connect them with other artists so they can get a different perspective on what to expect at the residency. Instead of just NPAF perspective or National Park Service perspective, we just say, we email all the artists and we're like, some artist is coming. Will you, reach out to them so that they get a perspective?
That's awesome.
Just to make sure that, they know what they're getting into.
Especially for Dry Tortugas National Park, because you're off on that island by yourself. And you have to have two people, the artist and another person, and sometimes it's two artists, but I think as a musician, I would dig that. I mean, that would be cool to just go and really be one with the ocean and just be decluttered and not be so, because you're off grid, to kind of not even, I would, obviously take music and stuff, but honestly, I think it would be important to not have any music around you other than nature and kind of be off the grid and see what comes out. Because there's so many things that you can get influenced by when you're writing that, it'd be interesting to just stand away from it all. Like throw it all to the wind and go, all right, it's in the sea breeze. I'm going to sit out there and write and just look at, life in different ways. I mean, that's a beauty, I think, about what you do with these parks is that, you need to get away sometimes to be able to reconnect to your artistic soul because life is always going on. An artist may have kids or may have to have the day job, may have to have all these, performances, these gigs and things like that, where sometimes to be able to create it, sometimes people thrive under all that. And then sometimes it's like, you know what? I need to go a different route. I need to learn a different instrument, or a different style. And I think that's crucial.
That's such a good point. Like they really do have like revelations at these places because a lot of them are pretty solitary. Like Dry Tortugas. Yes, there are two people, maybe both artists, maybe not. But can you imagine being out there in the middle of nowhere? And when NPR was out there and they did that, Melissa Block did the interview, and he was talking about how he couldn't even see his hand in front of his face at night because it was that dark. I was like, come on, really? And now I want to go to Dry Tortugas and test it myself. But can you imagine playing an instrument like on an island where it's only you and one other person on the island and wondering how far the sound actually goes?
Yeah, that'd be cool. That would be
reflecting, but would it be echoing back to you from the waves? Like what does it sound like? It's like the sound of one hand clapping. Like what is this? It's like, where does it go? I love it. The audience is the nature,
to record the sounds of wind and then manipulate the sound of wind.
Yeah. Or even underwater there, the reefs.
Yeah. It's a whole other world. And here's the question I've been meaning to ask. So when an artist goes in, right, let's say a painter or filmmaker, right, they have this finished product that a lot of times, a piece that, can be part of the archives of the National Park Service, which is a huge deal. Or they tour around with their art and do shows. A filmmaker can go on the screen and live on forever. I mean, the arts live on, unless it's created to be, we've talked about that, like create and destroy art, right? The temporary art.
Yeah.
It's so hard. But that's a special thing too. And that's the thing about live performances. It was there and now it's gone unless somebody recorded it. There's a beauty of anything can happen that time. But for recording artists, do any of their music end up in the archives? Like even the written out, the song lyrics or anything like that?
Absolutely. If they want to submit it and donate it to the park, then there is a process that is set in motion for either them to donate even the copyright to the National Park Service, or sometimes a shared copyright. It depends on what country your origin is from and a bunch of things. But that's at the choice of the Park Service, and that's the choice of the artist. So the other part of that is because now we're partnering with the U.S. Department of Interior Museum. There are a lot more, and we partner with other national places too. Like we even have a possibility with the Smithsonian and other museums. So right now with the U.S. Department of Interior Museum, and look them up, they've been doing some really amazing things. Their process is similar to the individual parks. So you have the chance to present something to the individual park. You have a chance to present something, if you're selected, this is all if you're selected, to the U.S. Department of Interior Museum and other places that we partner with. So it can be, maybe, if everybody agrees, a real stepping stone to get into museums. And that's awesome. With the music, too. The music also, there's archives for that also. And that's beautiful. And, it's interesting, too, because you mentioned writers. Now, and we talked to your artists that you interview who are songwriters. And that is in my mind anyway, and by the way, I'm not a musician, that is the connection between the song and the music. Like you're a writer of, your brain has to be with the music and your brain has to be literary and, with lyrics. It's an amazing. So we've actually accepted songwriters, and that's what they do. They just write. And I don't mean musical compositions necessarily, which that's a type of writing also. It's lyricists too. So
good point. That's a really good point. And I could see that just being amazing there too, because it's poetry, But the other thing too is you mentioned this, like, oh, it depends what your country of origin. And that's something we should also make a big point of, is that you do not need to be from the United States of America to apply. And we know that for sure. Look at Sam Nestor. We look at now he lives in the States, but I just keep thinking he's all over Australia, man. It's crazy. But you've had so many different people from England. Gosh, didn't we get someone from Argentina at one point that we interviewed? I think it was Argentina.
Australia, Canada, England. Like we've had all kinds of artists, and
Japan.
Japan. This is something that is amazing that the national parks are doing. We're really excited to be able to present. I don't know how to explain it. So the United States, in my humble opinion, and I'm not speaking for anybody else, not even NPAF, just myself, we don't invest like a lot of other countries do in culture and arts like we should. Now, there are things that we have here that help that for us, like the National Endowment for the Arts, who we've worked with in these different places. Yes, but other countries, especially in Europe and other countries, have very specific departments where the arts are funded, and education in the arts and aesthetic and culture are funded in these places. Germany, Austria, all of these, just all over Europe. We don't have that. So to be able to have artists that know about art, are able to discuss their art, have the education in art, is really I would say per capita in the United States is a lot lower because it's just not on the forefront enough. And thank goodness with culture, it's happening right now in a way it's never happened before. So that's exciting. So yes, we accept people and we work with the government to make sure that they have all the right permitting and visas. Well, I should say the selected artists work with the government. But we know who to contact to get to make that happen. But that doesn't mean that we're overlooking anybody in the United States, because we aren't. And we know how it is here. I'm from the United States. Like, even though I'm disappointed in it because our government doesn't invest in that, guess who does? The national parks through us.
Yeah. See, this is the important thing. I think it is. Yeah, it's about how to all work together and find those ways, right? And there's where there's a will, there's a way, And I think that's a really important thing about it being global, because, number one, America started the National Park Service.
Yeah.
You always think of Africa and stuff like that, which, that's our background, but honestly, I think this is such an incredible experience for people to do. So everyone, nationalparksartsfoundation.org is the website. It's in all the show notes, no matter where you're listening to this from. We're excited. We have a day of music, for today, September 1st. But everyone, you can listen anytime, when it airs or later, if you just go to bigblendradio.com, and all the podcasts will be there. Thank you, Tanya. We really appreciate doing these shows with the National Parks Arts Foundation. Every first Friday, we talk about the arts and parks in all kinds of ways. And sometimes Tanya joins us, which we love. Sometimes we're talking with artists who are residents. Sometimes we're interviewing other artists and talking about their park connections as well. So it's all about the parks and the arts. So thank you so much, Tanya. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you, all artists and everybody listening out there, for supporting arts and culture, no matter if it's us or anybody else. And this podcast and radio and travel magazine and everything.
The
Lisa,
crazy blend. That's what we'll call it. We'll just call it the Crazy Big Blend. That'll be the new magazine. The Crazy Big Blend. It'll be really big. All right. Take care, Tanya.
All right. Talk soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye.